Thank you for joining me.
Hey, Riley, it's great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
So, this is such a pivotal moment in American history, and I actually think we're making a lot of headway. So, it's very weird to see people defending the corruption, the fraud, the waste. And it's right in front of our own eyes. So, I just want to get your first reaction to that clip we saw.
Well, several of the clips you've seen, I'm actually amazed at. I guess that's the way to get people to come back to New York is to offer federal workers that have lost their jobs to
Hmm.
maybe repopulate the state as folks have been making a mass exodus out of there. But I will say that, everywhere the Democrats right now are talking, it is always going after Elon Musk. It's
Hmm.
always going after Doge and the work that they're doing, which I have come to the conclusion that it's because that is what is most effective right now and is really hitting close to home. And I frankly am amazed at whatever committee I'm in. I've been in Judiciary Committee marking up a bill earlier today. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is that I'm a part of. When the Democrats' time comes to speak, it's always just going off on Elon Musk. I mean, they're not even speaking to the relevant matters at hand. They're just simply trying to attack him from every turn. So, frankly, we're seeing President Trump doing exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yes.
Promises made,
Yes.
promises kept, no surprises here. And if anybody is angry, then you need to turn to the citizens of the United States who elected Donald Trump. And they genuinely believed that he was going to do what he said he was going to do. And I, for one, am excited about it. I know that my constituents are excited about it when we were in the district last week. And so we're hearing a lot of positive about what's taking place here in D.C. right now.
Okay, now this is a genuine question. It's been on my mind for a while, Congressman, and I really want your thoughts. There's so much outrage about the mission to cut waste and fraud, but those same Democrats, they don't seem to be upset about the actual corruption itself. I don't know if that's because it benefits them in any way, but I do really wonder why, and I'd like to get your thoughts.
Well, again, it's like every government institution.
Hmm.
They take on a life of their own, and it's kind of like feeding the beast. I've told folks, we're talking a lot about the Department of Education now, and when you go back and look at what the Department of Education was meant to be as a clearinghouse, there were probably great ideas when it started, but
Hmm.
unfortunately, like every other agency in Washington that the government forms, you start feeding it money. And when you feed it money, it takes more and more money. And then it takes more and more power. And then before you know it, it's got all these strings attached in order to try to get money back to the states. And we find ourselves in a situation we're facing now where honestly, the effectiveness is completely lost from DC. You
Hmm.
can talk about FEMA, we can talk about Department of
Yes.
Education, we can name a number of departments and talk about that. I just think it's important. The American people believed that Donald Trump was coming into office to really reshape the way
Yes.
Washington does business. And I think that's exactly what is happening. I think Congress, we need to be working to codify a lot of these things. We need to catch up with what the president's doing by executive order, and that is taking a little time. But those things are getting underway, and I'm confident that we're going to be able to do it. And listen, the budget vote last night was a big deal, and I think we're taking the right steps forward.
Well, Congressman, since you brought it up, I just want to ask you, tell us a little bit about the significance of that budget, deal, I should say.
Well, I think it is extremely significant. I think that when you stop and look, that when was the last time you really heard about a government or a Congress that was voting to shrink the size of government, to have spending savings rather than spending increases, to actually put $2 trillion possibly that we're going to find in savings. And of course, Doge has certainly been leading the way in these previous weeks. But I mean, to really begin to dive in, and of course, now with that savings of 1.5 to
Hmm.
$2 trillion, and then we also expanded the Trump tax cuts in that budget resolution would be part of it. Really, what we did last night was simply start the engine on this whole process called budget reconciliation,
Mm.
which is going to allow the House to pass this one big, beautiful bill. It's then going to allow it to go to the Senate, which it will be able to pass with just 51 votes, a simple majority in the Senate, not requiring that 60 vote threshold. And so this is a real opportunity for us as conservatives to do what we've said we wanted to do and needed to do. And we've got a leader in the White House that is calling for it. He's calling for a balanced budget. He wants us to get back to where we need to be. And I'm excited. It was a historical moment, Riley, to be honest with you. And I was saying all day to my colleagues, we cannot miss this chance to do this.
Absolutely. It is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And it's
Yes.
interesting you bring that up, Congressman. What his administration is doing, he's doing all of the things that many people in Washington have said they care about for many, many decades, but he's actually executing. And for some reason, it seems like they're having a meltdown over it. So I find that very weird and suspicious. But I do want to pivot really quickly because this president has also done a lot with EOs, a lot of good work, including one of them to end birthright citizenship for the children of illegal immigrants. I understand the House Judiciary has filed with Jim Jordan an amicus brief in support of that. Could you please just tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, more or less. And we had actually a conversation yesterday, a hearing that we held in my subcommittee that I serve on about birthright citizenship. And the bottom line of that is there's been a whole lot of conversation about the 14th Amendment. And we know that the 14th Amendment was not drafted so that illegal aliens could come into the United States and have babies that would then have birthright citizenship. That was not the intent. And, I'm an originalist. I think the majority of our Supreme Court now are originalists, and we believe in the original intent that was written. So the bottom line is that I think where we are now, that Congress has an opportunity to move. I've not only participated in the amicus brief, but I also have signed on as a co-sponsor for Representative Brian Babin's bill that is going to really and truly, I believe, give us an answer on this Birthright Citizenship Act of 2025. It really is going to get us to a point that we need, and that is of not only clarification and clarifying, not just leaving it to wide open interpretation or even leaving it just to executive order, but we're not only going to clarify what it is, but we're also going to codify it if we can move this bill. And that's kind of been my theme a little bit, is we need to clarify and codify so that we can move this forward. But it's a good bill. I think there's a lot of conversation. We'll have to watch how it unfolds. Obviously, there's things from the executive order that's already been challenged in the courts, and it's going to make its way through that. But Congress can take care of it if we will. And I'm pushing and encouraging support for Representative Babin's bill.
Okay. Well, I wish you all the very best of luck with that. I think that is so crucial, and ultimately it's just about protecting the original meaning of being a U.S. citizen. Being an American is a very special thing, and we can't just go giving that away. So I really like to see this, and I appreciate everything that you're doing to protect that. But Congressman,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.